Hello.
Hello.
Ella, it's a great pleasure to connect with you today. How are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you doing, Colin?
I'm doing great. Sun is out. We're past this torrential flooding that we, have, in Southern California, where it's like the whole year, just jam packed into like 3 weeks. Yeah, it was fun, but I'm glad the sun is out, so can't complain. What about yourself?
Yes. Well, I try to avoid talking about the weather sometimes because I'm in Miami and it's like gorgeous
Me too.
here,
Me too. Me too. I'm
and
in
I
Southern
feel really
California.
bad,
I get it. I
right?
get it.
Like I know some people are really suffering.
Everyone's like, you talk to people, right now in Texas, they have an ice thing going on, right? And then in Northeast or like, Chicago, they're in snow. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to grab my coffee now and let's
Exactly.
talk about our pets.
Yeah.
How about that?
You can always talk about pets.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Ella, thank you so much for hopping on. We are here in this week for the ultimate vegan health and weight loss bundle. Before we get into that, I would love to introduce each other and talk about what we do, why we're so passionate about it, and what you are currently, I don't want to say going through, but, I think as human beings, I would like to use experiencing right now that you would care to share with others.
Yeah, absolutely. So I talk about my vegan journey a lot. So I'll just kind of briefly for your audience go into that. I was 7 years old when I connected the food on my plate with the animal that it was. And as soon as I figured out that that was an actual animal on my plate, I said, well, that's not okay with me. I'm never eating meat again. And I never ate meat again. Here I am. How many years later? I'm turning 43 this year. And I did the research and really discovered the cruelty in the egg and dairy industries. By the time I was 15, I was the little teenage activist and really knew that it was my mission in life, even from the age of 7 years old, to really spread awareness and help people understand where their food is coming from so they can make conscious choices. So that's been kind of my lifelong journey mission here. And battled through a lot of different things in my life. Disordered eating was one of them, things I've really overcame and have coached people on, and building a healthy relationship with food and our bodies and ourselves and finding joy and purpose in our lives. Last year, however, was quite a doozy. I hit burnout and really had to dig deep. I actually ended up in the Amazon jungle doing ayahuasca for 12 days in an amazing setting with shaman, and really I had kind of a rebirth from that. And it was many months. I experienced some loss last year as well. My beloved cat died. There was a lot going on last year that kind of took me for a loop. And what I really had to realize was that the goal, and this is said by Michael Brown, in his book, The Presence Process, he says the goal is not to feel better, it's to get better at feeling. And that's really what my big takeaway from last year, my big practice was to get better at feeling and to know that we don't have to always feel okay. And in this positive culture, it can be exhausting to feel like you got to always be happy and positive all the time. And I think this is the cause of a lot of unhealthy habits and patterns that people experience, is from thinking that it's not okay to not be okay sometimes.
Yeah,
That's my
for
big
sure.
takeaway.
Number one, thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that with us. I definitely felt it all the way here, 3,000 miles away. The key thing that I took from it, besides the, pure vulnerability, is the healthy relationship. Well, my initial one was, how does a 7-year-old articulate that, the first reaction, because you articulated very well. And then I was thinking, what was 7-year-old Ella saying? You're like, ah.
Well, and I'll tell you, because it's kind of interesting. We learned about Daniel Boone, one of our first American folk heroes, with the raccoon hat and the shotgun. And I said, Mom, he was so mean, this guy. He shot animals and he ate them. And she was like, well, we are really lucky. We get to go to the grocery store and buy our meat. So that's where that came from.
And you're like, oh no.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's how that works.
Not bad. So the second one was the healthy relationship, and it's definitely a term that is, thrown around a lot. And I think in the health and wellness, especially in the social media age, there is a lot of, we have fad diets, but we also have these like fad trends as well, that I would like to call. And I think it deserves a lot of time and attention and presence to really sit through what these actual words mean, right? I think healthy relationship really applies to like everything. We were talking about compassion out, off camera a little bit, and how some people can have compassion towards one thing, one group, and that's great. But just having that compassion for yourself is like huge. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Colin Zhu, for Ella's audience, and I'm a physician by trade. And the first thing that came up in my head was compassion fatigue. And, physicians also experience burnout, just in a different format. You got new kitties, huh?
We have many.
We experience, burnout as well. And I totally understand, and when you don't have that supposed cup of yours, full as well, it's harder to give. It's harder to, just be of service when you're not fully there. So I'm really glad that you took that transition for yourself and, made it, part of your journey. And, that sounds like it was a chapter, and a chapter that you have to transition through.
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned chapters, because I do think of life in chapters, right? And each one, and the more empowered we get to understand that we get to take the reins and write these chapters, we get to, that life is happening for us and not to us, the more we can kind of go with it and observe it and approach it and ourselves with curiosity and compassion. Is what I talk about. If we can get to that place, right, of being curious.
Yeah.
And that's
always being curious. Always being curious. I've had the great pleasure of being able to travel a lot before COVID. And I think your parents, if you're lucky to have parents, they kind of teach you and bring you up, in the world, to a certain point. And I'm a big firm believer that the rest of the world becomes your parent, and you learn through these life experiences. Mm-hmm. You cross paths with all kinds of, people, and that's how you learn. And your own experiences determine your belief systems, and then your belief system determine your actions and how you actually make decisions and go about your day-to-day life. So I can talk about.
I want to hear about the chapter. I want to hear about the chapter you're on right now.
I'm on the chapter. It's a very good question. I'm on the chapter of continuing, similar to you, continuing to be patient and gentle with myself. And, on this chapter of, you don't know, you're on that cusp of like fear of failure and fear of success. And, I'm devoting my energies towards the process and not necessarily the outcome. And because I find that when you pay too much attention to the outcome and the end result, you don't get to relish and enjoy the journey, right? And I'm not quite there yet. I like to think of my own journey as kind of like Michelangelo with his statue, and you're just chipping away. You don't really know what it's going to be like in the end, but you know what it's not supposed to be there in that moment in time. So that's kind of like my honing process of both the personal and the professional journey. So,
well, I love that. And it was interesting. I was talking to a client just the other day, and when I work with people, and I love how you like really work on getting the root causes, like that is so makes you just, it's a breath of fresh air, right? Yeah. But talking about, somebody who's got a goal of weight loss, right? And the more we focus on the weight loss, the more that weight stays on, is what ends up happening, or it goes off and comes back on. And creating a process, like you're saying, of looking at the process that has the end result of weight loss, not worrying about the weight loss. That's just going to happen. We come in and say, let's look at what we're creating every day in terms of our patterns and our habits, and to be able to go in there and examine that with curiosity, and then start to make those shifts and changes. And having tools like all the ones in this bundle are like,
it's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing. Like,
I wish in real time just replace my head with a mind-blown emoji right now.
Right. Can we do that?
Yeah, let's do it right now.
I'll be in the future. You just press a button.
Yeah, it's super important to approach it. I love that you're using curiosity, because for me, I like to use, I think words have so much power to them. And I think they're even more powerful than our actual literal and physical tangible weapons. And depending on how you use them, depending on, what you use, how you use them, and towards whom, it could really uplift someone or actually harm someone. And, it's super, super important. And the different things over the pandemic that we faced, I'm sure, you've gone through this as well. Mental health has, bubbled up to the surface. And it wasn't that long ago where we just kind of like poo-pooed it. It's too, disparate from the physical body, right? And you can't see it, right? It's like, how can this, be? How can it affect us? How can it influence us so much? And then literally you have a pandemic and you can't see it, and you can't see the virus and it's killing us, right? So it's kind of like, it's very important to continuously, like you said, it's important to address the physical body, the physical health with the mental health and the emotional health. So, what I do for Ella's audience is I specialize in lifestyle medicine and culinary medicine. Lifestyle medicine is defined as taking lifestyle-based approaches, which are evidence-based, to prevent, treat, and reverse chronic lifestyle-related diseases. And it's based off of 6 pillars. And then culinary medicine is really marrying nutritional science and the culinary arts to optimize someone's wellness. And that's what I focus on. And it's really cool to meet people like yourself that has a fresh take and fresh perspective on things. I mean, just, you're a fitness, guru, right? And you're also vegan. And what's beautiful about that is, it's totally possible, but it's almost, what do I want to say? It's totally possible, but other people think it's impossible because they're just not synonymous with one another, right? Can you, kind of talk about how you, address this when people are just super curious about this?
Yeah, well, one of the reasons I competed and won a bodybuilding competition in the bikini division was 15 years ago, when veganism was still, there were so many stereotypes around what it meant to be vegan and what it meant, scrawny, skinny, hippie. Like, there were so many things that if you're a vegan, this is who you are. So it really was my way in to help people start to open their minds, because they would literally come up to me and, how do you have so much muscle? How are you so lean and fit? And I'd be able to say, that the foundation here is fueling my body with healthy, whole plants, and they would be like, what? That's impossible. It's not, because I've been doing it since I was 7 years old. So I really did build my physique, build my strength, build my muscle on plants alone. So it's just been such a great way. And it's something that I'm passionate about and I love. And I did have to shift my relationship around exercise and take some pressure off, because some of that came along with it, like this is how I can make an impact. So I better keep myself in fighting shape all the time and counting calories and macros. And one of the things about the guide I have in the bundle is about how to do all of this without making food this stressor in your life, without making food have to take up so much time and energy and trying to track and let me count calories and track macros and how many grams of protein and fat. No, we don't have to do it that way. it really does take building a relationship with your body so you can understand it, so you can listen to it, so you can give it what it needs without having to make it a source of stress.
I love it. I love it. Because guess what? Stress, one of the pillars is stress management. Stress is a killer. We just, had this conversation with a couple other contributors as well. And you don't want that, food, I think people fall in two buckets, right? You're either, you eat to live, or you live, you live to eat, type of person. And I'm a huge foodie at heart. And, to be able to pair that with stress is just not fun. So I'm glad that you don't do that.
Me too.
So for the bundle, for those of us that are, first time hearing about it, it's, starts on February 3rd. It actually will end in 5 days. So it's a limited amount of time. And it's over $6,000 value. And it's only priced at $49. And can you, Ella, go into more what you're exactly contributing and what people will get from your contribution?
Yeah, it's actually a 100-page guide a complete guide to hitting your health and fitness goals. So I have everything in there, from my method of what I call it, the KISS method, KYSS, keep your staples stocked method for stocking your fridge, the build a meal method. I'm a fan of anything that I can throw together. So I'm probably very opposite of you. I mean, like, I'm not a foodie, so I like to keep things simple. So if I can get in the kitchen, if I'm in and out in 10 minutes, making a healthy meal and spending, 10 minutes at the grocery store, that's my way of doing things. So that's what my bundle's all about. Or that's what
I'm very opposite, very opposite.
Yeah. I'm like, let me just get it done. I want fuel. I want it to be delicious, but I'm good with simple too. So mine is that. Plus, I share what I eat. So people are always asking me, and I'm like, well, you have a unique body. You're not going to want to eat the same. They're like, no, I want to know what you eat. So, okay, I'll share with you what I eat. You might not like it because I eat salad for breakfast. But that's what I eat. I really love thinking outside the box. I really love kind of throwing out the window these programs, these shoulds. Get rid of those shoulds. Figure out what works for you. And that's what it's about. It's a guide for helping you discover the way of eating, the way of moving. I've got how to create your own exercise plan that's going to be effective based on your goals in there. So it's a very empowering 100-page guide.
I mean, it's a whole book, you might as well have just published it.
I could have.
So what I'm contributing for the bundle is twofold. One is for those of you that are curious about how to get towards more whole food plant-based. It's an audio course. It's only an hour, not too much time. And I teach others on how to stock a fridge, a freezer, a pantry, how to navigate a supermarket, and your go-to basic kitchen utensils and appliances. And the second contribution is a 21-day challenge off of my book, Thrive Medicine. It's half self-memoir and also half self-empowerment. And I love the fact that we've been talking, a lot about this during today's episode. And it's really about attacking the new year, new milestones, new beginnings, but also having a guide. So I created a video companion to the audiobook, and both of those programs can be found on my new app, which also got released as well. So instructions are in that bundle. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, why does a doctor need an app? What is this?
Everybody needs an app.
Everyone needs an app. What are you talking about? No, I just felt that, in today's world, in today's world of oversaturation of distractions, it's important. And so, I figured, what? It's what do people leave home with? Their keys, their wallet, and their phone, right? So, it's good. So the bundle is great. I'm so glad to have met you, connect with you. Hopefully we'll see each other in person. And any parting words you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I've done many bundles. I know Chef AJ personally. She brings together the best of the best, and putting together this bundle worth over $6,000 with some of the top leading experts in the world. The only regret I've heard from people in the past for this particular bundle is that they missed it. So I really do. And I don't promote things that I don't believe in. And I believe this is unquestionably something that every single person listening will get such huge value out of. So
Yeah.
I do encourage you to not miss out on this one.
For sure, for sure. Well, Ella, thank you so much for hopping on. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your vulnerability and story. And I think you're awesome. And I can't wait to look forward to other chapters and lessons that you will
Yeah,
continue to learn.
absolutely. Thanks for inviting me. It's been so much fun.
Awesome, awesome. Well, until then, I'll see you guys on the inside of the bundle. Take care.